Scream 6 is a film on everyone's lips in the horror community, and the hype around it is absolutely buzzing. So let's add some fuel to that fire and talk about Scream 6. And don't worry, there won't be any spoilers here. Scream 6 picks up not long after we left off in Scream 5. However, in this installment, the Carpenter sisters are now in New York City. Shortly after a murder, the girls are targeted once again by a killer taking on the persona of Ghostface. Returning in this sequel to the requel, we have Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega playing Final Girl sisters Samantha and Tara Carpenter. We also have Jasmine Savoy Brown and Mason Gooding reprising their roles as twins Mindy and Chad. Of course, we also have legacy characters Gale Weathers, played by Courtney Cox, and Kirby Reed, played by Hayden Panettiere, which the internet was going off about last year when it was confirmed that she'd be returning to the franchise very much alive. This announcement went hand in hand with a small Easter egg detail in Scream 5 where there was a suggested video on Richie's laptop screen which silently confirmed that Kirby had survived the attack in Scream 4. I actually didn't pick up on this detail at all when I watched Scream 5, and I only just found out about it when I was doing research going into this review, and I just think it's so cool and it just makes so much more sense in the context of this film. Kirby is just as kick-ass as ever, and I'm so happy that they brought her back. So something that we've come to expect going into a Scream film is a great opening scene, and rest assured, Scream 6 has us covered. It has an awesome cameo casting choice and some brutal kills, which is just a teaser of what's to come later on. Further on this point, the kills are so savage. Go in expecting lots of blood and gore. Ghostface really isn't messing around in this. They've really cranked it up a notch, and it definitely was a major highlight of the film for me. There definitely was a different feeling to this film, and honestly, I really dug it. It's definitely paving the way for a whole new era of Scream films, but it's still keeping a lot of the original blueprint. It's as meta as ever and just so much fun. Just like the previous film, Mindy takes on Randy's role of explaining the rules of the film, and in this case, a sequel to the requel is a whole nother ballgame, and I just loved these scenes. There's also a particular scene between Mindy and Kirby where they're discussing horror films, and I just thought it was so good. I really loved the interaction between these two characters. Sadly, we don't see the return of Neve Campbell as OG Final Girl Sidney Prescott, but man, Melissa Barrera really brings it as Sam. I actually wasn't 100% sold on her being the new Scream Final Girl after seeing Scream 5, but this film completely changed my opinion. I love her character, and I think she brings something new to the role that we haven't seen before. She has a dark side, and she's just an absolute badass. I'm Team Sam all the way. Moving on to some of my criticisms of the film, a major one for me is that there was parts of the plot that I didn't quite understand. I think I might have missed some things, but I was giving the film my full attention. I just feel like parts of the script were quite convoluted and they glossed over it really quickly, so there are parts that I'm a bit fuzzy about. I definitely feel like I need to watch an explainer video just to clear up some of the questions I have and to join the dots to feel completely satisfied about what happened. In addition to this, just like all the other films in the franchise, there are parts that require you to suspend your disbelief in order for the plot to work. As a movie review, I had to mention this, but as a Scream fan, I think we can all agree that we're not watching these films for a watertight plot. We go in expecting there to be some inconsistencies and some logic issues, but despite this, they're still very enjoyable and entertaining films. And this one in particular is very, very entertaining, and I would go as far to say that it's my favorite sequel in the franchise, second to only the original Scream film. I also want to mention that I think the film did a really good job providing the audience with all of the critical background information for those who hadn't seen the other films in the franchise. For example, I went with my husband who's only ever seen the original Scream movie years ago, and I don't even think he remembers anything that happened in it, but he went in and he left it really enjoying the film, and he was able to piece together everything that was happening, and yeah, I think that was really well done on their part. So if you haven't seen all of the other films in the franchise, you can still go into this one and have a really good time. Overall, Scream 6 is an absolute thrill ride and a really solid addition to the franchise. I loved the insane kills, the characters new and old, the tone, and the meta-ness of it all. There's a pretty solid motive for this installment's Ghostface, so you'll have a good time trying to work out who's behind the mask throughout the journey. Despite the change in location, the film retains the essence of the originals by keeping the parts that made it such a beloved franchise, but also making it feel fresh, which is quite a feat being 6 films in. It really has something for everyone and caters for fans of both the originals and the reboot. It's honestly just a lot of fun and a cinema experience I thoroughly enjoyed. To rate this film, I'm going to break it down into 3 categories: scare score, how scary the film was; accessibility score, how accessible the film is to a wider, broader horror audience; and personal enjoyment, which is my personal rating of the film. So for scare factor, I gave it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was super tense. I think it actually probably was the most tense I've been in a Scream film, so I think they did a really good job with that. For accessibility score, I'm also giving it an 8. I feel like most horror fans can go into this film and will really enjoy it, and that includes fans of the Scream franchise, the originals, fans of the reboot, and also just horror fans in general who haven't really had much to do with the franchise. I think anyone really can go into this and have a really fun time. And for personal enjoyment, I also gave it an 8 out of 10. So I hope you liked my review of Scream 6. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen it yet and let me know your thoughts on the film. I'm just so happy that we got this at the same time as the US. It's just so cool when that happens. I don't have all this FOMO, and it's awesome to be able to put out a review at the same time as all of the other reviewers on YouTube. So that's definitely a benefit. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.